Mattot. In the Torah portion of Mattot, we learn about the miraculous victory that Israel had against the Midianites. Both the battle itself and the fact that Pinchas was a part of this war are pointers to the Messiah and the battles he will wage at the end of times. It says in Numbers 31 verse 6, Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, went to war with them, and the holy vessels and the trumpets for the alarm in his hand. Targum Yonatan relates that the holy vessels Pinchas carried into battle were the high priest's breastplate, with the Urim and the Thummim in them. This was so that the army could communicate with God on the field of battle. The Talmud relates that the holy vessels refers instead to the ark with the tablets which were in it. The ark points towards the presence of God on the battlefield. When the ark would set out, Moshe would say in Numbers 10 verse 35, Rise up, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and let them that hate you flee from you. The men of Israel defeated the Midianites and put to death every man. Not a single man of Israel died on the battlefield. After the victory of the battle, the men of Israel counted themselves and found that not one person was missing. When they realized this, they took from the spoils of war and offered a portion up to God, as it says in Numbers 31 verse 50, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord. Pinchas also carried the trumpets for the alarm, teruah, in his hand. The Talmud states that the trumpets were shofarot, ram's horn trumpets, but this statement causes a direct conflict with the actual text. Numbers 31 verse 6 says that Pinchas carried the chatzorot, not shofarot, into battle. Chatzorot are the silver trumpets, not the trumpets made from ram's horns, and are described in Numbers 10 verses 1 through 9. Make yourselves 2 trumpets, chatzorot, of silver, of hammered work, you shall make them, when you go out to war in your land against the adversary who attacks you. Then you shall sound an alarm with the trumpets, that you may be remembered before the Lord your God, and be saved from your enemies. The silver trumpets were created specifically for assembling the nation for war. So why does the Talmud relate that they were ram's horns trumpets? One possibility is that the Talmud uses the word shofar because it is the most common word used for trumpets. This would help readers unfamiliar with the word chatzorot, which appears very rarely. Either way, the connection with the silver war trumpets and the blasting of the shofar points towards Isaiah 27 verse 13, which states that with the coming of Messiah, a great shofar will be blown. The Talmud talks about Pinchas being anointed for war. Anointed for war alludes to the King Messiah, who will take after his father David and wage war on the behalf of God. This Messiah will fight with supernatural weapons, as it says in Zechariah 4 verse 6, Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. Psalms 110 verses 4 through 7 relates that the Messiah is both a priest and a warrior. You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is your right hand. He will shatter kings in the day of his wrath. He will judge among the nations. He will fill them with corpses. He will shatter the chief men over a broad country. He will drink from the brook by the wayside. Therefore, he will lift up his head. It says in the Talmud that Pinchas joined the battle against Midian because he wanted to avenge his ancestor Yosef, who was sold in Egypt by the Midianites. How is Pinchas a descendant of Yosef if he's the son of a priest? He's a descendant of Yosef through his mother's side. Exodus 6 verse 25 says, Aharon's son Eleazar married one of the daughters of Petuel, and she bore him Pinchas. The Talmud claims that this daughter of Petuel was a descendant of Moshe's father-in-law, Jethro, on one side of her family, and a descendant of Yosef on the other side. The connection between Pinchas and the line of Yosef invokes obvious relation to Messiah, son of Yosef. There is a Jewish belief that Messiah, son of Yosef, is the war Messiah. He has a similar role to Pinchas, in that he is also anointed for war. The Talmud says that the Messiah, son of Yosef, led the people of Israel in the war against the forces of Gog and Magog. The Roman Empire was the Gog and Magog of the Second Temple era. Yeshua took on the role of Messiah, son of Yosef, who would suffer and die, leading his nation in battle. He waged a spiritual war, fighting not with physical weapons, but with the Ruach HaKodesh. The Roman army, Gog and Magog, were the ones who ultimately killed him, but he triumphed against them and rose from the dead. When Yeshua returns, he will again wage war on the behalf of God. How come neither Moshe nor Yehoshua took part in the battle? Why was it Pinchas who was sent? There is a midrash cited in the Torah Shlema that addresses this issue. Moshe said, "When my brother Aharon was alive, he would stand with me in prayer, and now that he is dead, Yehoshua will stand in his place with me in prayer." In each battle that Israel fought, Moshe helped his people in the same way, through prayer. In the war with Amalek, it says in Exodus 17, verse 11 through 12, "So it came about, when Moshe held his hand up, that Israel prevailed. Thus his hands were steady until the sun set." In the battles with Sihon and Og, Moshe did the same thing. He prayed. It says in the Torah, Shelema. Surely Moshe struck the enemy with his prayer. You may ask, from where do we derive scriptural support that prayer is an effective weapon in war? We learn this from the final Redeemer, as it says, "He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his mouth he will destroy the wicked." Isaiah 11 verse 4. The latter Redeemer is like the first Redeemer. It says in 31 verse 8, "They killed the kings of Midian, along with the rest of their slain, Evi and Rechem and Zur and Hur and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also kinged Bilam, the son of Beor, with the sword." Balaam was the one who gave the Midianites the strategy to seduce Israel and invoke God's wrath. Balaam was served a fitting end at the hands of the Israelites. Targum Yonatan relates a Jewish folk tale on this matter. When the guilty Balaam saw Pinchas the priest pursuing him, he spoke words of magic and took flight into the air, into the sky. Then Pinchas spoke the great and holy name, and he flew after him and overtook him. He seized him by the hair of his head and pulled him down. He prepared to draw his sword and was about to kill him, but Balaam opened his mouth with entreaties and said to Pinchas, "If you will spare my life, I will swear to you that so long as I live, I will never curse your people." Pinchas answered, "Are you not Laban the Aramean who tried to destroy Jacob our father, who went down into Egypt to destroy his children as Pharaoh's astrologer? And after they had come out of Egypt, did you not send the wicked Amalekites against them? And have you not been just recently summoned to curse them? But after you saw that you had no success and the word of the Lord would not heed you, you gave your evil counsel to Balak, telling him to position his daughters in the way to lead the men of Israel astray, after which 24,000 of them fell. Therefore, I cannot spare your life." He drew the sword at once and slew him. Numbers 31 verse 8, Targum Yonatan. The folktale version of the story states that Balaam, Laban, Pharaoh's astrologers, and the Amalekites were all the same person. This is obviously not true, but it still points to something deeper. This points towards the malicious anti-Semitism that has pursued Israel since its very beginnings. Lavan, Pharaoh and his magicians, the Amalekites, and Balaam all have the same satanic hatred for Israel. This is the spirit of Antichrist, as it says in 1 John 2 verse 18. "Just as you heard that Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have appeared. Right before the coming of the Messiah, another anti-Semitic leader will arise." It says in 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3 through 4 that he will be the man of lawlessness, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, displaying himself as being God. It says in 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 9 that his coming is in accord with the activity of Satan, with all power and signs and false wonders. When this happens, the Messiah will come back, and he will slay him just as Balaam was slain. It says in Isaiah 11 verse 4, he will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his mouth he will destroy the wicked. In Mattot, we learn about the battle Israel fought with the Midianites, with Pinchas leading them physically, and Moshe leading them spiritually. We learn how all this points towards the battle to come and the return of our Messiah.